So y'all know I get a little geeked out when we talk about anything medical because that's how my background. Yes, that's right. I was in the Air Force for 8 years in the medical field. So whenever we talk about medical things, and I worked with children, so I'm always excited to share this knowledge with you. Now I'm going to read my policy handbook in regards to incident illness because I want to make sure I hit every key point, and then I want to talk to you, give you some examples of why having this in your policy handbook is very important. It says incidents and illness. In the event that your child becomes ill during the day, the parent, guardian, or authorized persons to pick up the child or children will be contacted to pick up your child. Unless there is a medical evaluation by a healthcare professional that indicates that your child can be included in child care activities, your child will need to be picked up. At any time, if we feel that a child may have an illness or is not acting his or her normal self, for example, the child is laying out on the floor, not eating the food, staff will request that the child be picked up. Parents, please remember, no matter how clean a child care facility is, children, especially young children, will become sick. Other young children cough and sneeze without covering their mouth, and for that reason, we will ask for early pickup if a child is unable to cover their cough. Please make sure to keep all children who are sick in the comfort of their own home. If we request for your child to be picked up because of a fever or illness, your child will have to be fever-free or illness-free for 24 hours or cleared with a doctor's note stating the exact return date to care. You have 1 hour to have someone to pick up your child from the moment that we contact you. If your child isn't picked up from care within that 1 hour and it happens twice, we will no longer accept your child into our program. If your child is out for 2 or more days for illness, we will require a doctor's note clearing them for care. If your child has any of the following below, you will be asked to have a doctor's note stating that your child is cleared and able to return back to care. And basically this list is what is listed on the Texas Child Care Health Department when it comes to sicknesses. So I'm going to run through them really quick. And it says, as stated in minimum standards rule, a child will not be admitted if one or more of the following exists and will need a doctor's note to return. An illness that prevents a child from participating comfortably in child care activities, including indoor and outdoor play. So again, like I mentioned before, if the child is laying out and lethargic and not eating their food, the child doesn't have to have fever, doesn't have vomiting, doesn't have to have diarrhea. That is something that is normal for them when they're normally like, take urine, that's all right. Then you know something's wrong with that child. If the illness results in a greater need for care than the caregivers can provide without compromising the health, safety, and supervision of the other children in care. So if your child is constantly throwing up and is pulling away from me being able to care for the children, that's another reason that this state of Texas says your child cannot be in child care. The child has one of the following, unless medical evaluation by a healthcare professional indicates that your child can be included in child care activities. An oral temperature of 101 degrees or greater, accompanied by behavior changes or other signs and symptoms of illness. Remove rectal temperature, April. So in the state of Texas, we removed the whole rectal temperature thing because we no longer do rectal temperatures. I mean, I never did it, but for some reason they had it in the minimum standards that is allowed, but they removed it. Armpit temperature of 100 degrees or greater, accompanied by behavior changes or other signs and symptoms of illness. Signs and symptoms of possible severe illness such as abnormal bleeding, diarrhea, 2 or more vomiting episodes in 24 hours, rash with fever, mouth sores with drooling, wheezing, behavior changes, and the other signs that the child may be severely ill. A child care professional has diagnosed the child with communicable disease, and the child does not have medical documentations to indicate that the child is no longer contagious. So if they had something that was contagious and they try to come back, but they don't have a note from the doctor clearing them, the state of Texas says, we will back y'all up, okay? That child ain't allowed to go back in your care. And then if your child is allergic to anything and to any food and or requires a special diet, please provide a doctor's health note. Now, some parents will say, well, I don't want my child to have milk. Well, in the state of Texas, That's not good enough. We need a note from a doctor that says that your child cannot have milk because they're allergic to it. And the reason why we need that note from the healthcare professional because we also need to know what to do in the event of emergency if this particular child drank milk. Remember, 2 different children can be allergic to the same thing, right? I'm allergic to milk. I'm allergic to milk. But this person may only need maybe, I don't know, Benadryl. I'm just throwing something out there. But this person may need an EpiPen. But we won't know that if the parents do not go take the child to the doctor and a doctor tells us step 1, step 2, step 3. And it's not something that is like supposed to be covered in our training. It's something a parent needs to have a doctor tell us this is what we need to do. And it's a liability thing, so you want to make sure you have that. And then it also talks about signs and symptoms are super severe. So if the child is throwing up within 24 hours, more than 2 episodes, rash or fever, mouth sores with drooling, wheezing, behavior changing, or other signs that show severe illness, that child cannot be in your care. If a child is diagnosed with a communicable disease, oh my gosh, tongue twister, and they try to come back, but a doctor hasn't cleared them, they are not allowed into your child care by the state of Texas rules. So you put that in your policy handbook. And then if your child is allergic to anything or any food, we need a doctor's note that states that, and it also outlines the action plan of what to do. And the reason why the state of Texas, they say 2 children can be allergic to milk, right? This child is allergic to milk, this child is allergic to milk. But if we don't have a note and an action plan from a doctor, we don't know. This action plan for this child may be to, I don't know, give him Benadryl and a pat on the back. But this child may need like an EpiPen, and we need to have that in writing. Sometimes parents say, oh, my child just doesn't like milk. Well, that's just because they just don't like milk. It's a personal preference, and we can't accommodate personal preferences. A parent can sign and stuff, because if a parent says, I don't want my child having milk, and there's not a doctor's note, we have to serve the child milk, because we are childcare professionals, and we are supposed to meet what? The nutritional value for each age group, for each child. So it says a child's supposed to have half a cup of milk for lunch. I have to provide it. But if I have a doctor's note that says this child cannot drink milk, do not give this child milk whatsoever. And then even if it's just a parent's preference, if a parent can get the doctor to back them on that, then hey, it's all good. Thumbs up. Ooh, milk. I just had like this craving for Cocoa Puffs. That's what I want right now. I want some Cocoa Puffs. Yeah. But anyway, yeah. Doctor's note. And then last but not least, I will have a separate video on this, but always make it a habit to check head lice. And tell parents in your policy handbook to check for head lice on a daily basis. At my daycare, we do not give medication. That's another part. It does say if a child has an inhaler, we'll allow them to bring the inhaler, but they need to know how to use their inhaler in the EpiPen unassisted. Again, it's a liability thing, and it's really important that parents teach their children how to use their EpiPen and how to use their inhaler. Now, I know there's going to be that one person that comments below, like, what if they're too young? Again, it's a liability thing. I would say, well, I wouldn't be that child care for you. You know, I want to minimize liability. I want to make sure children are safe with me at all times. And so I don't ever want to have that feeling that I did something wrong when it comes to administering medicine. Question of the day. Tell me the funniest statement that parents use to justify that their child is not sick. All right, I'll go first. It's just allergies. And then the child's like, eyes are all like, and they got snot and they're like, ugh. But it's just allergies, right? Comment below. Come on, let's have some fun. We interact in this group so that we can continue to grow. You guys are amazing as always. Make sure you like this video, share the video, and as always, learn from this video. That's right. See you next time.